Joy is coming. I want us to pay attention to keywords in that statement. Why such music could have made it all through is because it gave the message of hope, and every one of us unanimously agreed to it. But whatever it is, joy is coming. Whatever it is, we are expecting joy to come, for us to experience a difference, for us to enjoy a new reality. But did we expect joy to come? Is joy coming? Where is joy coming from? Joy is coming. From where? Who will bring it? Who is bringing it? Where was it? Where did it go to? Where did joy go to? I want us to answer these questions, right? Olamide said, few things can be responsible for lack of joy.
I can see you're doing a very good job. Keep it up, okay?
Thank you. When we look at the way the society has rewired humans, we realize that, to be honest, joy now have become attached to a lot of things that naturally should not have been the reason for joy. But you now imagine how those things have become the motivation behind why people do what they do, to be able to experience joy. Joy. In the absence of joy, we cannot enjoy life. Performance becomes a pain when joy is not present. Performance becomes a thing that is not enjoyable when joy is not present. So where does joy come from? Because we need to know where joy comes from to be able to point in that direction for people and say, hey, come on. Let's be honest with you, because of our drop in the joy level, the energy of joy that is in our society, we have experienced drastic inactivity. We have experienced massive unfulfillment and lack of purpose amongst people. Not because things are not fine, but because joy is wanting. Joy is not as much as it should be with us. And so the power, the strength to get this done at the same level of joy not being available, the power to is reduced. Where does joy come from? Why are people not happy? Joy, happiness is still essentially an expression of feelings. One can deteriorate, but it's now a function of who it's happening to. People have turned happiness to joy, and people have turned joy to happiness. So both of them can deteriorate. Joy, as deep as it can be, as a matter of fact, can also become something that will just evaporate and you'll not see it again. You will now begin to wonder, is it not from God? Of course, but it can still disappear. And joy on the other hand, and happiness on the other hand too, still may come from God or things around you or people, can grow to become something abiding. All right, so they are just feelings. We have just decided to give them the differentiation because of our of different narratives driven by society. However, when we talk about joy, we talk about happiness. Last week I made very strong emphasis using the word happiness, right? And I said, if you do not happen, if you are not happy, you cannot happen. All right? If you are not happy, you cannot happen. So there are a lot of things that are tied to us being happy for them to happen in our lives. So it's very important that we understand that these things are tied. You see, last week I talked about two very powerful words that are very important for us to understand joy. First word is feeling. How you feel. F-E-E-L. Feeling. And I usually like to balance it up with the other word, F-I-L-L. Feel. To put something inside something. To fill up a container. To fill up a place. So how we feel how we feel is usually a function of what we are filled up with. Because when we begin to point finger at the things that happen to us, the circumstances that happen around us, poverty, lack, disappointment, all of these things in themselves are not the reason why people are unhappy. Because we have seen situations and people where the same thing that some people claim to be the reason of their unhappiness never bothered them, because they were able to create their own joy regardless. In fact, they used the raw material produced by the disappointment to create the joy. In fact, they used the pain that came from that disappointment to get the joy that it deserves. So necessarily, we cannot point finger at the things that we experience or the circumstances around our life as being responsible for joy or lack of it. But we must understand that joy is a feeling, feeling, that responds to the feeling, filling, that we have. That's what makes us to be able to interpret differently the things that happen to us, even though they are the same with other people. In the same atmospheric temperature, in the same rain, in the same sun, that some people are feeling unhappy, some people are happy and even making other people happy. When we look at it generally, there are different inconveniences with respect to place and time. Yet, even in the places that we feel that, they have least inconveniences, people are still unhappy. In the places that we feel that, their problems are the biggest in the world, people still find a way to be joyful. And this is important to take note of. Very important to take note of. And this is why I want us to, have very good understanding about where joy comes from. Joy is powerful. Lack of it can ruin a lot of things. Lack of joy can ruin a lot of things, if not everything. Now, a joy that is tested is a joy that can be trusted. The first point I want to be speaking to at the moment. A joy that is tested is a joy that can be trusted. You see, joy usually will get tested. And that's where we now begin to have difference. That's where we now begin to have transition between joy and happiness, if you want to, put it that way. You see, happiness is a function of what has happened, or what you envisage to happen. Happiness comes with happenstance. It doesn't just, come because of the feeling. Yeah, and I like the perspective that, Lamidi gave us. That joy is not about feeling, it's actually about awareness. Now, awareness is the level where joy comes from. Awareness is your knowledge or attention to a thing, even though there are no directions or letterings to describe where that thing is. Awareness is a way of having understanding about a thing without having too much of knowledge to even explain it. You just know it. You just have that conviction that this thing, this is the way it is. This is where it's going to happen. And so, because some of the time, it is in looking for the explanation for the joy. Some of the time, it's in looking for the explanation for the joy that we miss out on the joy itself. Because you want to find reason. Some people are afraid of being naturally happy. They want to find reason for it. And that is where the society has driven us to. People don't just want to admit to joy as being natural. People want to, hard to naturally enjoy joy when it comes. They want to look for a reason why they're happy. There are sometimes you just wake up and you are just feeling good. You are just feeling good. Not that you won a lottery or, somebody bought you a car or you got anything special. Or you are just happy. Do you know that the way the society has rewired our mind, we begin to look for why. Why am I happy? Why am I? Not from the point of view of being appreciative for it, but like what is making you to be happy? All right. Now, in my language, you say kilo don't know it, right? You see somebody that is happy, you just want to out of the whole thing that is happening all around. Why are you happy? You feel that people should not be happy because of the things that are happening around them. People want to look for reasons for joy. People want to look for reasons for joy, and this becomes a weight on all of us. It becomes an embargo for progress to a very large extent, because the things that we look for to put our joy in are essentially ephemeral. They are essentially not long lasting. They are essentially seasonal. They will be here for a while and they will go. So when we talk about spirituality, they are not unexplainable facts. They are just, to some extent, incontestable reality. All right. So the concept of faith is not unexplainable. Our lack of understanding about a thing does not mean it does not have explanation. We may have it as incontestable, but it has got explanation. So this is very important. This is very important because a lot of people have hinged their joy on the things that they are not aware of. In the sense of being spiritual, let's say faith now, for instance. There's a definition of faith as being your ability to be able to have joy for the things that you have not seen, have hope for the things that you're expecting. All right. But when we get there, at some point you realize that, hey, come on, what is the explanation for this thing that I'm hoping for? What is the explanation for this joy that I want to experience? You may not be able to explain it, to buttress it, but you should be able to have a reason to hold on to it. And this is very important. You know why? Because the natural mind of a human being is so stubborn that it will take more than just mere unexplainable reason for you to believe what you have said to it. Not that we don't want joy to come. Not that we don't want things good things that are good rather to happen to us. But somehow, sometimes they don't happen the way we want or at the time we want. Yet, faith, in quotes, it is not only a religious thing, it's a human thing. Every human being has got that level of belief, all right, that something will happen. Everybody who have slept and woken up at least for one day in their life have faith. Not to not talk of years. Everybody who have slept and woken up have faith. Because how will you explain going to sleep, becoming unconscious and not knowing what's happening around you, and you are prepared to go to work the following day? It's a level of faith. But it's just that the way these things have happened to us, all right, we have not been able to transpose this effect from different areas of our life to different areas. And this is very important. I like that direction, because I want us to be able to understand. Spirituality is not unexplainable. All right, it may just be incontestable. Thank you so much, Spice Up. I thank you for the gifts. Thank you for lighting up the room. Thank you for every beautiful thing you are doing. So I was talking about this, that our feeling is usually a function of our feeling, right? FEEL, how we feel, the emotions we feel are usually a function of FILL. What do you fill yourself up with? Your faith is a function of what you feed yourself with. Faith does not just come because you feel like it. It's a function of the words, of the conviction that you have filled yourself with. So feelings, the feelings of joy, sadness, or any kind of feeling are a product of the energy that we have decided to absorb, the words that we have decided to listen to, the ideas that we have decided to entertain. So these things are very important, and I want us to understand this, right? I don't want us to have it in that cocoon of being spiritualized. I want us to be able to understand this, as they are, so that it can increase our spiritual intelligence. This is very important. There are a lot of, ways that people go around in the name of being spiritual, and there is lack of understanding. All right, so we need to understand these things so that we can understand how to go in and out of situations that we like or don't like at different points in time in our lives. Now, this is very important. This is very important, right? So, how do you feel? You will not just feel good if you have not filled up yourself with good things. Now, this is the explanation, because in the same word at the same time, people are feeling different things. What is the explanation to that? The same word happening to this, different people now at the same time. What is making them to have different, reaction or response to that is a function of what they are filled up with. There will be good and bad flying around all the time. But what magnets do you have inside of you? If you have the good magnet, it will attract the good. If it's the bad magnet, it will attract the bad. There is nothing you can do. There's no way you can make a paper to be heavy and now make a magnet to be able to attract it. There's no way you are going to present the paper to a magnet that it becomes magnetic. No. It's not a function of the availability of the paper that makes it, magnetic to the magnet. That it's available doesn't mean, the paper is now, magnet is now feeling like, let me just magnetize this thing. But there are some times that within the magnetic field of that stone called magnet, when a metal is within the magnetic field, the metal will be attracted to where the magnet is. So let's understand this. I want us to understand something. Now, this magnet can be momentary. This magnet can be inspired by our positioning of our mind. The same person can experience the good magnet or bad magnet with respect to the position of their heart. And this is what I want us to understand when I ask the question, where does joy come from? When you know the direction where joy is coming from, you will know how to take position so much that you are able to attract that joy where it is coming from. This is very important. It's not just sufficient to, feel like I want to be happy. It's not just sufficient to feel like, I just want to feel good. No. There are some days that you don't feel like it, but it's your responsibility to still be it. It's not about joy. It's not about, how you feel. It's about awareness. What do you know? What is the position of your heart? Where are you standing? Where you stand determines what you see. Where you stand determines what you see. And the complete version of that statement also determines what sees you. If you stand on the highway where joy is not, no matter how gorgeous you are, joy will not see you. So where does joy come from? I said, a joy that is tested is a joy that can be trusted. Joy does not run away from tests. Joy is so resilient that it does not run away from being tested, because joy at every point in time wants to prove that without thing, people, or time, it can still be experienced. Look, let me use she now for joy. She can still be experienced. Joy must be tested. And so that's why we have argument between happiness and joy. People say happiness is not deep. It's joy that is deep, that comes from within. But people, both from within and the one that says on the surface, people have lost both of them as if they don't have depths. And to be honest with you, people have moved from the place of happiness that you call shallow to the depths of joy. And people have swayed away, wandered away from the so-called depth of joy. And what they have now in their life is nothing close to being joyful. So let's understand where joy comes from by opening up this statement that I made earlier. A joy that is not tested is not to be trusted. All right. So the joy that is tested can be trusted. So how do we test joy? How do you test that emotion of feeling good? All right. Dopamine. I talked about it last week, and that's where the conversation started from. The feel good emotion, the feel good hormone. All right, is the brain chemical that is responsible for you feeling good. You feel like, hey, how you doing today? I feel good. Dopamine. How to sustain dopamine is what we are talking about now, and how to be able to use dopamine to your own advantage is what we are driving at. So where does joy come from? You must expose that joy to tests, because if you don't expose the joy to tests, the joy that you feel is real will expose you. When you don't expose the joy to tests, the joy that you feel is real will expose you. And you know what it means? When you go to the battlefront, where you are expected to have come with bulletproof, and you don't even have a bulletproof, you don't have a gun. The people you are going to fight have got bulletproof, they have got gun. So they will shoot as if they are fighting another person who has got the same capacity to also wreak damage on them. And so that's why you see, when people don't know how to cook their joy, to become resilient enough, they lose the joy when they step out of their domain. When they step out of where the joy is. You see, this is it. This is what I want us to understand. Joy is not supposed to be determined by the things that are around us. Because when those things that are around us are no longer there, it means the joy will not be there. And so if the joy is coming from inside of you, and you go where there is no joy, you should not be a chameleon. that will take the color of the environment because you want to feel among. There is nothing worth trading your joy for, because immediately you trade your joy, you lose the capacity to be a performer. And joy is in productivity. Your ability to be joyful enhances your ability to be a performer. It gives you the advantage to be alive as somebody that can fulfill your life-giving purpose. So expose that joy to tests. I told you, there are two words that I like to use when I'm trying to explain emotions and how we feel. The first word is feel. Feel. F-E-E-L. Feel. Feeling. How you feel. The feeling of joy, of sorrow, of happiness, of sadness, indifference, anger. Those are feelings. And the second word is what? F-I-L-L. Feel. To fill up something. To fill up a bottle of water with water. All right? Feel. All right? So, and this is the relationship between these two words. You cannot have your feeling without the feeling. You cannot feel in a certain way without the things that you have filled yourself up with. You cannot feel good if you have not filled yourself up with good. Because it is the good inside of you, like the magnet, that you have filled yourself up with, that will attract the good around you, that will now complement it and make it to feel good. All right? You must fill yourself up with good. But this is it. There are certain good things that we have filled ourselves up with that are not in the standard, that can withstand the heat of the bad things that are outside. I like to come from the perspective that we are all always very responsible for our realities. You can't afford to push your blame to anybody in this life and do well in life. You are always responsible for your life if you want to have a responsible life. All right? So there are some level of good things that you have inside of you that do not have the capacity. There are some good things that you have inside of you that do not have the capacity to withstand the bad things that are outside. And that's why you must put that joy to test. The test you are putting the joy to is not to kill the joy, is to be able to strengthen the joy enough to have the capacity to withstand unhappiness when they come from outside. All right? Oh, no of enjoyment. You are welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone.
You're welcome, sir. We are having a conversation around joy. Where does joy come from? I started last week, and it's turning to a very good and interesting conversation. Where does joy come from? Wow. Why are people unhappy? Why, do we have, people, everybody, everywhere claim to say, hey, I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm doing what makes me happy. Yet, people are not happy. And that's why things are not happening. All right? Oh, what are you doing? Oh, I'm doing what makes me happy. I'm doing what makes me happy. But people are not happy. You do what makes you happy. I do what makes me happy. But we can see the result of unhappiness everywhere. So I want to help us understand now, right? I want us to get this understanding about joy. Joy is always on the inside. Like I said, this word feeling versus the word feel, all right? The way you feel in your body and what you fill yourself with, right? Now, if you fill yourself with good things, it gives you the ability to be able to extract goodness from anything that is around you, regardless of how those things are presented. You must have heard it many times, when they throw lemon at you, make lemonade out of it. This is what I want you to understand. It is not as easy as it is said. It is not as easy as it is said. This is an analogy I would like to make now. Have you heard before, eat that frog? Yes, eat that frog. When you hear eat that frog, it means do what is, seemingly impossible if you want to experience what others are not experiencing. All right? Eat that frog. Eat a frog. To eat a frog is something nobody wants to do. But this is the idea. For you to be able to eat that frog, this is the arc that I got. Before you can E-A-T the frog, eat, you have to H-E-A-T the frog. They didn't tell you that, but this is what I want you to understand now. You cannot eat as in consume the frog if you have not eat as in cook it, roast it. You must apply it to it before you can eat it. But you were just giving the brief, eat that frog, do it anyhow, do it afraid, do it, don't worry. This is something you need to understand. Now, the feeling, how you feel good, you feel bad, is usually a function of the things that you have filled yourself up with. Pay attention to it. If you have filled yourself up with bad ideas, even in the face of good things, you will still see bad things. This is it. Let me give you another illustration. If you wear a spectacle, a eyeglass, goggle, that is green in color, the lenses are green in color. If you see a white cloth, I tell you for free, you will think the white cloth has got some touch of green. The white cloth will have some expression of green on it. Hey, always small, you're welcome. It's a pleasure to have. Feel free to come up. When you look at something white from a spectacle that is green in color, you will feel that white thing has got some touch of green. It's not your fault. It's just the way you are seeing things, right? Now, and that is why it is now your responsibility to work on how you see things, because things are eventually going to be the way you see them, not actually the way they are. Joy is not a function of the things that are, but the way we see things that are. Joy is not a function of the way things really are, but a function of how we see those things. And so feeling, remember, this is a single lie that I'm trying to buttress to us, that a joy that is tested is a joy that can be trusted. So we want to test joy. I want you to be able to understand how to test joy, because if you don't know how to test joy, you would leave your house joyful and come back sad. Not because you did not have true joy to have left your house, not because a particular joy that you experienced was not real. It was just that the boiling point, the temperature of the joy that you have is cold enough for flies to perch on your pots. You must know how to raise the temperature of your joy to the extent that when anything comes to it, it turns them to fuel and it is not quenched by it. You can't stop the world from being the world. You can't stop the world from being unhappy. You can't stop the world from bringing AIDS and all of those things. But guess what? You can determine the way you carry yourself, the way you protect your joy. So the untested joy cannot be trusted. And so I said, expose the feeling. Expose the feeling to filing. I already gave us that illustration, right? Now, feeling, right? F-I-L-L-I-N-G. Feeling, what you are feeling into the container. Now expose it to filing. What is this filing? Like you are filing something, all right? You are trying to make something, sharp. Yes. That filing now is what I told us as it. You cannot eat the frog if you have not eat it. If you have not exposed it to it, to temperature that will cook it and make it in the form that is edible, it is not convenient to eat it. You see, this is the wisdom you need to have. This is the understanding you need to have. Nobody is saying that you should eat the frog raw. What they are telling you is to eat the frog. You get it? What they are telling you is to eat the frog. But do you know that you can be intelligent enough to eat so many frogs as interestingly as you like to eat them, while others are still struggling to eat one? It's good to have you here. All right. So, the smartness is now understanding how to turn the situation to an edible situation. You get it now? Yeah. How to turn the situation to an edible situation. Expose the feeling. Expose. Now, I told you there are two things, two words that I'm playing with now. Feeling. F-E-E-L-I-N-G and F-I-L-L-I-N-G. You cannot have the feeling you have, F-E-E-L, without the feeling that you are putting to yourself. This is very important, all right? So now, expose the feeling, F-E-E-L-I-N-G, to it. Expose the feeling, F-I-L-L-I-N-G, to it. You know why? Because you need to increase the temperature of your joy enough to the extent where it can consume the unhappiness that the world brings as a fuel to power your joy. Oh, you don't get it. There are certain kinds of fire that when they are burning, when you throw something inside of them, heavy enough, it can quench the fire. Oh, but there are some kinds of fire that even water cannot quench. They are fire, but there are fires. Your joy has to become a burning fire. And how does it become a burning fire? You expose it to it. You expose it to it. Your joy is, emotions, right? That's when we talk about emotions. As an emotional intelligence expert, we usually talk about emotions, putting your mind on this particular word, trigger. Emotions have got triggers. You can't experience certain emotions without certain triggers. And so you must have seen at different point in time, they will say, hey, highly flammable. Do not smoke. At this time, they just write different things to tell you that something is flammable or inflammable. It means the same. Flammable and inflammable means that it can catch fire at certain each level or with under certain condition. All right. Every emotion is flammable, and that is why we say triggers. That's why we use the word trigger. Every emotion is flammable. They can catch fire. You have not just gotten to the level or the condition where the fire that will burn them will happen. And see, pay attention to this. But out of all of them, you see, joy has to constantly be on fire. I've shared with us before in our just concluded Vision Challenge. We're going to be having the next edition of Vision Challenge come next month. Yes, Vision Challenge, we have it once every quarter. For the third quarter of the year, we're going to be having it next month. One of the things I explained at the last edition of the Vision Challenge is this. A Vision Challenge is usually a closed door at 31 days. It depends on the number of days that we have in the month we decide to choose. For August now, we're going to be having it for 31 days. A closed door daily inspiration for leaders from every walks of life. All right, we've got leaders of industry, people from all walks of life. In the corporate world, in the private sector, in the political world, everybody, different kinds of people. Who come to take energy, who come to take. It's just like a place where we come to re-envision. We come to fine tune and fire ourselves up and say, okay, yeah, let me pursue again. With energy, and that's it. So look at it. One of the things I explained at the last edition is this: that fire is so powerful, right, that it uses darkness as fuel to produce light. You see, your joy needs to be at that level that it becomes fire. And every disappointment, everything that makes other people unhappy, when it comes around your joy converts it to fuel to become more joyful. That is what I want us to realize with this session that we're having today. So I told you, these two things, you must expose them to it. You know why you must expose them to it? Why you must do it before it is done for you is very important. Pay attention. Because the word will test your joy. And how the word tests your joy? They test your joy with it. And when they test your joy with the it that you have not tested your joy with ahead of time, you crumble. So you have to be ahead of the world in testing your own joy. You have to be ahead of the world in testing your own joy. And so, what is this eat? Remember, I told you, eat the frog, all right? Eat the frog. Eat the frog. But before you eat it, you have to eat it. That's the smart way. And that's what I'm teaching us here. You know, they won't teach you. You have not heard that before, I'm sure. You know, in my hard age, what the elders used to eat pap. There's this pap, you know, that they put inside leaf that makes it not to stain the hand of the elders. They say it's usually under the leaf. How to live a joyful life in an unhappy world. Maybe that can be the title of this session we're having today. Because everywhere people are not happy. And these things are getting to us. These things are limiting our productivity. These things are limiting, you know, how we can be active. These things are limiting the potential for our joy. These things are limiting, you know, the kind of experience we should have. So we need to understand that, okay, there is a way to go about it. So let me use the word eat. I like to call myself spiritual etymologist, right? And by that I mean that I understand the root of words. I have a spiritual inclination to the root of words. I see words differently and I use them. You must have noticed. I brought out the word feeling, all right? I brought out the word feeling, right? Feeling. These two guys, I like using them. Your feeling versus your feeling, all right? What you fill yourself up with determines how you feel. That's the truth. Not the things around you that determines how you feel. If you have good feeling, you will always be able to see the goodness, even in the things others are saying bad things from, all right? So look at it. Now, what is this eat? I told you, you must expose your feeling, how you feel, F-E-E-L, and the things you feel yourself with, the ideas, the words, you know, the energy, everything that comes inside of you through your senses, you must expose them to fire. And what is this fire? This H-E-A-T that you must expose them to. The H is what? Is art. I want to use the word eat now as an acronym to teach us the kind of eat that you must expose your feeling to and your feeling. This is it. The H stands for what? The H stands for heart. The heart that is in your chest. All right. Now, you know, the heart of every matter is a matter of the heart. The heart is so important. The heart is so important to test the quality of joy that you want to experience. You know, there is this general debate. Joy is not something as happiness. You know, happiness comes from what is on the outside. Joy comes from within. Like I said, it can be semantics at some level. All right, but this is the idea. You know, happiness is like it's just like an atomic representation of joy. All right, joy is on the inside. All right, joy is inside. But how we know? We cannot touch your inside. How we know is by the things happening, the emotions you are reflecting on the outside. All right, but it must be exposed to it. It must be exposed to it. Thank you so much, everybody. I see the gifts. I really appreciate. Thank you so much, Olori Ayobami. It's a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much. So H now for the arts. Please let's keep tapping. Let's keep tapping so that you know more people can be aware of this, because you know what, this is one of the things we do for ourselves. When you're able to build people that are joyful around you, you preserve your own joy that way, and that's very important. Please pay attention to that. The ways to protect ourselves is to create people who are protection conscious, to inspire people who are protection conscious to be around us, and that's very important. So H now, the H for the word heart, it now is what? Is heart. Heart. And how do you determine the capacity of your heart? Look at it. Look at the word heart now. H-E-A-R-T. Take the H to one side. Take the last letter T to one side. What do you have at the middle? You have here. What do you listen to? Now let me tell you quickly that you are increasing the capacity of your heart. Now, by being in this room, you are increasing the strength of your heart by the things you are listening to in this room. There are 1,001 places you could be at the moment. I know. But you are here, and guess what is happening to you? You are here and you are receiving raw material to build the capacity of your heart. Remember I said, you know, earlier that joy usually have its own road. And that is why when you hear joy is coming, it means it will come, there is a road that will come through. But the painful thing is that many people go to another road and they're expecting joy to come to their road. No, intelligence is actually not forcing nature, it's knowing how to use nature. When you align yourself with the possibility of, oh, this is where joy is going to pass today, you go to where joy is going to pass, they will think you're a magician. But some people are too big, they say joy must come and pass this place. Joy will pass that place, or joy has passed that place. You were the one that missed the timing, and joy must go around, it must go and pass on that place. But you now, you are not a wood, you are not a tree, you can move. So move in the direction where joy is going. So what determines the position of your heart are the things you listen to. What do you listen to? All right. I like the idea that Olamide gave us earlier. This is it. She said joy is not, and that was in very clear tandem with what we are discussing. Joy is not a feeling; it's an awareness. So where is awareness coming from? Awareness is coming from the heart. What is determining what your heart can be? What is determining the capacity of your heart, the strength of your heart? Your infilling. I told you we are looking at the word what? We are looking at feeling and feeling. Filling, right? Your here now is what is feeling into you ideas. All right, your ear now is literally not just your ear, it's your senses. All right, your 5 senses that makes you to be able to interact with your environment and feel what is happening. So this thing determines the position of your heart. The H there is ear, H-E-R-E, ear. What takes us from ear there, the T is there, is a position of our heart. What causes us to move is not the means of transportation, is not the infrastructure of road. It is the strength of our heart. It is the position of our heart. It is the quality of our heart. It is the power of our heart that propels us to move. And so it is not a function of, oh, there is vehicle. It's not a function that there is road. All the vehicle and road did not exist before the will to move came. It was the will to move that brought about the road and the vehicles. So when you put the cart before the horse, you miss out on this reality. The horse has to be before the cart. Oh, I am happy because I have a car. You have missed it. Oh, I am joyful because I have a house. You have missed it. The cart is already before the horse. The will to move brought about the vehicle for movement and the road to move on. Where is your heart positioned? What is the state of your heart? And so concerning the heart as determining the it, the heart is the first thing in determining the kind of it you must expose your feeling and feeling to. Because we want to check the quality so that we don't become a prey of circumstances that happen around us and lose our joy. Joy is very important for performance. Oh, we cannot all claim to be doing what makes us happy and things are not happening. Somebody is deceiving somebody. All right. Now, when it involves the heart, then we should understand that love is involved. So pay attention to this. I'm going to another dimension now. I'm still on the word heart, right? That H of the word it. I'm using it now as an acronym, H-E-A-T, but I'm still on the word H now. H-E-A-T. It is the acronym, is the it that you must expose your heart to. All right, is the it that you must expose your feeling and the feelings to, right? But now, I already told you earlier that when it is the matter of the heart, is when it is the heart of the matter is the matter of the heart. Yeah, that is the way it's said, right? The heart of the matter is the matter of the heart, right? Now, when it involves the heart, then we should talk about love. See, the most talked about or the most illustrated analogy about love is the heart, and that is why you see the shape of love is not far from the way the heart is. Oh, okay. Let me quickly give us, have you ever seen the illustration of the ear, your ears, right? What you hear with the two here. There's a way it is placed, and you will see the image, the icon of love from it. That is buttressing the fact that the position of your heart is determined by your ear. What you listen to determines the position of your heart. Your heart is not made of gold, right? It's made with flesh, but you can have the heart of gold by listening to gold. This is very important. You can have the heart of gold by listening to gold. You are here listening to substance. You are having substance in your heart. You are having value in your heart. All right. So when it involves the heart, there should be love in the equation. All right. There should be love in the equation. So I want you to quickly see this now. I want you to quickly see this. We are trying to determine where love comes from and where joy comes from. You see, what you don't love don't give you joy. Write it somewhere. What you don't love don't give you joy. Now, immediately you love a thing, you now realize that it is not about how that thing looks like that gives you joy. It's the love you have for that thing. You love your job, joy will come from it. Anything you love brings about joy. Remember, you still need to understand that this love has got its own temperature as well. Does it have the temperature that will make flies not to perch on your pots? Flies don't perch on hot pots. No, you have to be burning, you have to be hot. Else, you are going to be victimized by flies. And you know what flies does when it comes on food substance? It comes and lays egg, maggot. It makes whatever it is that it perches on to decay. In a short while, that joy can be turned upside down because you allow the temperature to go down. So by love, we set the temperature. Pay attention. By love, we set the temperature of the heart. It is love that sets the temperature of the heart. But what brings in substance? Now, okay, this analogy is building up in my head now. Now, it's like a furnace. It's like a furnace where we want to refine gold. What is bringing in gold? I told you, what you listen to determines. If you listen to gold, you have a golden heart. Now, what brings the raw material of gold into the furnace is what you are listening to. But what determines the temperature of the furnace is the love for gold that you have. The love that you have for gold is what is making you to increase the temperature. You see the irony now. Now, because you love the raw material so well, that this raw material has to be good, even though the raw material is crying, this heat is too much. But because you want it to get to that realm where it can have full expression of itself in its right form, you will not even listen to the cry of the gold when the temperature is increasing. You will increase it the more, yet the more, to the level where it deserves to get to for it to be able to experience purity. So love. So sometimes you hear, it's because they love you that they are chastising you. It's because they love you that they are correcting you or giving. Yeah, the heat will come. And this is the analogy now. This is what you need to understand. That sometimes joy does not come from the rubber band effect, jumping, like the bouncing castle effect. Joy is not always in the thing that happens to you that makes you to jump all about, opening your mouth from one end to the other. No. Sometimes joy is communicated like the heat that must be messaged in the furnace to the raw gold for it to eventually become the true gold. When you have all of this understanding, you become like the heat fire, the heat source that consumes whatever disappointment, what is expected to dampen it, that consumes it to fuel, to produce light. Do you understand? Fire burns darkness to produce light. Every material that is used as fuel, they are in dark form. They are from the earth. And you know what fire does to them? It burns them and produces light from it. And because fire had already, you see, the victory, oh come on, I like this. The victory of the fire, of the light rather, the victory of the light over darkness is the testimony that light already consumed darkness as fire. You didn't get that? What makes light to say is able to overcome darkness is because where light is coming from, light actually used darkness as pepper soup. Light actually had consumed darkness when in the form of fire. So when light sees, so that is why when darkness now sees light, darkness runs away that, this guy that consumed me, I can't play with the guy. Are you seeing the dynamics of joy now? Because joy should not come, from just mere feel good. The dopamine effect. Oh, he did not say it the way he should say it. Check it. What is the content of what he said? Not just about the way it should be said. What is the quality of what is said? This gives you an edge over the person who is only moved by what they see, hear, or the way people make them to feel. You need to be in charge of the furnace to determine the heat temperature that will burn away the impurities for you to be able to experience the joy that you deserve. So, if the heart is involved, then love is something important to pay attention to. So, when you love, let me quickly tell us one very, very strong truth now. The greater the things you love in your life, the more joy you will have. Now, let me break it down. If you love small things, you have little joy. You have small joy. If you love big things, great things, you have great joy. You have big joy. The greater the things you love, the greater the love that you experience in your life. Small things can be your job. If you love your job, small thing, you experience small joy. Small thing can be your car. In fact, small thing can be, your house, can be your talent, all of those things. Those things can be small things, right? Can be small things. When you love small things, you experience more joy. You experience more joy. More joy. More joy. I will get to that point. I'm going to open us up onto what things can be. All right. Hey, no of enjoyment. Thank you. I see that. Thank you for staying with us when we're in a meeting. Thank you. Love great things, you have great joy. Love small things, you have small joy. What are you choosing to love? What are you choosing to love? We are still at the heart level, trying to understand the age of the heat that you must expose your feeling and your feeling to. Your FEEL and FILL. Because you have to determine this thing. You have to make them hot enough to be able to withstand the reason not to be joyful that will come to you as you go out into the world. All right. Now the E of the HEAT, the heat now is what? Endorphin. Endorphin. All right. I told us earlier, that was last week. DOPE, DOPE, is my acronym for the 4 most interesting brain chemicals that I usually use in my trainings. Right. DOPE. D for dopamine, O for oxytocin, P for dose. I was imagining dose. DOSE. S for serotonin and E for endorphin. Don't mind me. The dope of dopamine is what is entering my head, right? Dopamine. I am dope, right? Don't worry, we're not getting to that today. That's another very deep dimension. So now, these 4 guys, I like to use them. DOSE. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphin. So I want to talk about endorphin now as the E for the heat that you need to expose your feeling and feeling to be able to determine the reasonable temperature that your joy requires to be able to consume sadness, sorrow up to make itself relevant. Now, what is the endorphin? There are going to be pains, and that should not be painful. You must already understand that there are going to be pains, and it should not be painful to you. Remember, we are coming from the place of awareness. All right, awareness, knowing that these things will exist, these things will happen. All right, is enough. The beginning of victory. This is very important. So endorphin is the brain chemical that is responsible for helping you to mask pains. It's a guy that will say, hey, this thing is not that painful after all. It's actually painful, but because you already have an ambition that, oh, if I do this, this will happen. So you look away from the pain. That part of your brain that does that for you is another part of this it. So the idea is this. Everybody cannot be, every day cannot be high. Some days are low days, and that does not stop them from being days, however. Because it's not a low day, does not mean you should edit it out of your life. How uninteresting will life be if there are only high days all day? Have you seen the sinusoidal wave of your heartbeat? It's called sine wave, sinusoidal, because it goes up and comes down. The way the heart beats, when it is interpreted through a graph, it goes up and down. When it is smooth and straight, then there is no heartbeat. Such a person is gone. You need to understand. This is very important. So this E now is the fact that something does not make you happy does not mean it is not a thing of joy. You need to be able to see, because the feel-good emotion, the feel-good hormone rather, has now become a god in the society that we must dethrone. So you need to pay attention. I call it, the dopamine addiction cycle, right? The dopamine addiction cycle. We need to understand this. Clearly. The dopamine addiction cycle. People don't care again about the things that matter as long as they feel joyful. They want to enhance joy. You see, people giving in to taking of drugs, people giving in to, doing some very, very funny things. They say, you hear questions like, is it putting money in my account? Do what makes you happy. All right? Be yourself. You are not feeding me. You cannot talk to me anyhow. All of these statements, do you know where they are coming from? They are coming from the dopamine addiction cycle, the feel-good place. Are you my father? You don't have the right to talk to me anyhow. These things are coming from the dopamine addiction cycle. They are coming from the realm of just feeling good momentarily, not deeply. They are coming from the places of just feeling good momentarily and not deeply. And so you now see the shallowness of the reason for joy, which will literally tell you that this joy cannot live long. If you tie the reason for your joy to so many of these unabiding, unworthy, unyielding, or unsustainable stuff, how else do you think you will be joyful? You won't be joyful for long. You will not be able to experience joy for long. So pains will come, but the fact that you understand that pains will come is the reason why endorphin is there. You are able to actually withstand certain pain because of the love that you have, regardless of the pain. Oh, come on, you look at it. You love to have a good grade as a student, and you know what you do. Sometimes when your mate are sleeping, you are not sleeping. That time that you're supposed to be sleeping, that you're not sleeping, it's painful. But do you care about the pain? No, because you love to have good grade. The pain of not sleeping, the pain of going extra mile is not felt because you have used the love for your results, the love for your expectation, the love for the outcome to overcome it. And so when people decide to make the choice of not being happy because of what happens to them, then you will know that there is no love for that thing. Oh, come on. This is very important. This is another point you need to understand. There are going to be pains, but you don't have to make them painful. This is the work of the endorphin. You must train your mind enough to be able to see beyond the way things look like to the way things really are, to be able to experience true joy. Where does joy come from? That's what we are discussing. Where does joy come from? It's very important to understand where joy comes from. Oh, it's very important to understand this. And the A of it, we are using it, H-E-A-T, as the acronym to understand how to determine the position of our hearts in order to experience joy. And what is the A now? A is attitude. I will not talk too much about it. And that attitude is this. The attitude is the position of your heart, actually. Yes. The attitude is the position of your heart. Where you stay, all right? Where you stay, I said earlier, where you stay is not only to help you determine what you see, it also determines what sees you. That's your attitude. And I would usually put it in this way, that your attitude is always higher than any altitude that you have reached in your life. So because attitude is higher than your altitude can come from your aptitude. Your aptitude is what you do. What you do, who you are, your occupation, your skill, your talent, anything can give you your attitude. But your attitude can determine how far your attitude can go. So how you see things is your attitude. It's nonsense. Give it to everybody. But some people are able to take out the none and use the sense that is in it. It's not because it is not nonsense that is given to them, but it's because they have a different attitude. Like I have been, impressing in our hearts since, that light is a product of the reflection that comes from fire consuming darkness. The same bad situation gives birth to good reality. But how is that possible? It is possible by the attitude. You see, there's a fight that we have not finished tomorrow now, and it's a fight of cup half full or cup half empty. It's the same cup of water. But somebody decided to say, hey, this thing is not filled up. It's not filled up, Charlie. Hey, it's almost filled up. It's the same cup. In fact, they even saw it from the same direction, not even different direction now. But what was the difference in their direction? It was not the position of their eyes. It was the position of their attitude, their hearts. So joy is not coming from things, right? Joy is coming from you to things. Joy is coming from you to things. Oh, let me explain that again. This analogy that just entered my head is so sweet. Oh my God. Don't mind me. My head is very open. Now, how do I mean when I say joy? I never said it like this before in my life. As I said it now, I saw the clarity and it's so sweet. Now, how do I mean that joy is not coming from things to you? It's coming from you to things. Let me quickly take you to music. Have you seen a drum before? A drum is basically a cylindrical or anything. It's a cylindrical, a container with the skin of animal, whether natural or synthetic. When you put it on the ground, do you hear any sound from it? Do people dance at the sight of a drum, a guitar, a string, a piano? People don't dance at the sight of musical instruments. But when the player remember I told you, I said joy don't come from things. Things, we are the one that carry joy to things. When the player handles the drum and begin to express his joy with his hand on the drum, you now begin to hear the joy from the thing called the drum. Oh my God, are you getting that? So you now realize that even the drummer will begin to resonate, even though the drummer actually originated the frequency that the drum is giving. The people around enters into that frequency that the drum is giving. Their heartbeat joins the beat of the drum. Oh, joy does not come from things. You carry things to joy. The strings of the guitar is just there and lifeless. But when you begin to strike it in a way, it begins to make sound in certain ways that brings joy to the people. Attitude. This is attitude. I'm talking about attitude now. The it that you must expose your feeling and feeling to. What you are made up of and what you feel inside of you. And what is the T? The T is time. The difference between here and there is time. I told you art is H-E-A-R-T. The E-A-R at the middle is your ear. The H is ear. The H is H-E-R-E now. Ear, right? Ear, ear. I'm trying to be careful with my pronunciation. Ear, 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 ear. Okay? And the T is there. You see the T? That T of deer is the only difference between deer and ear. And that T is time. You must understand time if you want to experience joy. Joy is like planting a seed. You don't reap it the same day. You have to keep planting every day, so that the one you plant today, this time next year you will repeat. The one you plant tomorrow, that time next year you will repeat. That is why you cannot afford to leave any day blank to sorrow, because this time next year you will reap the sorrow you planted this year. There was a time in your life that you planted the seeds of the things you are enjoying now. Unfortunately, instead of you to hijack yourself to intentionally plant the realities you want to have in the future, you are weeping over the future that you created from yesterday and yet recreating it again. Time. Oh, time. Time is the T for the it. And let me tell you something quickly. Things cannot replace your joy. Things cannot replace your joy. Things cannot substitute your joy. And I open up things in 5 M's rather. 5 different M's that I want you to see as things. Money, material, motors, Miami, man-made. Money is things that, like if material is anything, motor, car, Miami is a place, and man-made is beautiful person, beautiful, human being. All right. So you see, these things cannot substitute your joy. No matter how much you invest in them, they cannot replace your joy. Your joy must come from within. But pay attention to the things that can affect the state of your joy. 1, words that you listen to. 2, presence that you have around you. And 3, purity that you open yourself up to. Essentially, joy can be spiritual, and sorrow can be spiritual. And I told us at the beginning, when somebody came in and was trying to give us some spiritual perspective to why we need to be joyful. Yes, I like the spiritual perspective. I'm very spiritual, but I understand that because a thing is spiritual does not mean it is not understandable. It may not be contestable, but it should be understood so that you can take advantage of it. Else, it becomes it creates, phantoms. It creates pseudo experiences. You don't know what would happen for this to happen when you are deprived of the understanding of the spirituality that you claim to have. Spiritual intelligence is important. Know why the spiritual happenings are happening. You are not changing it. That was the analogy I was trying to make. That okay, you may not be able to determine where joy is going to pass, but you can determine where you will pass. So go and stay where joy will pass. You understand? That's very important. So presence, words that you hear, the ones you speak to yourself and the ones spoken to you, and the spirit that you subscribe to, the spirit of joy, of love, all of these things are very important. They can affect the state of your joy. However, things cannot replace your joy. And let me round off with this. The word joy, right? When we want to enjoy, when we want to express it, we say we want to enjoy. Look at the word enjoy. E-N, enjoy. So look at the E-N. Let me add a letter to it, D, and it becomes end. End plus joy is what happens when you want things to substitute your joy. You end your own joy. When you want things, I already mentioned the things now from 5 M's. Material, money, motor, Miami, mermaid. Miami here means place. That when I go to a place, when I travel to a place, when I visit a person, mermaid now means people. If I marry some person, if I have some person as a friend, all of those things. Money, just as it is. Material, motor, that's like vehicle, your dream car. All of these things, if you allow them to be the umpire to determine your joy, you will have end joy. You will end your joy. That's enjoyment, right? Yeah, some people say, hey, we are enjoying. But when you look at the content of the enjoyment, the joy will soon end, because things are the things that are driving that enjoyment. But look at it. That same enjoy. Let me open it up and give you another expression from it. E-N-T-R-U-S-T. Entrust, then plus joy. That's another thing now. So when you believe in joy, that she will bring, I'm using joy now as a feminine being, that she will bring things that will improve your life, we call it enjoyment. You need to trust joy enough to bring joy into your life. You need to trust joy enough that joy is sufficient to be the horse ahead of the cart for you to have enjoyment. If you don't trust joy and say, oh, joy cannot do it, I must get this thing before the joy can come, you will end the joy. But if you can trust joy enough, all you just need to do is to use this heat to continually increase the temperature of the furnace to make the joy alive, active, and powerful enough to consume hatred, sorrow, disappointment, and all every of those things. Consume them up to continue to make it burn more and more. Oh, interesting time we're having today. Where does joy come from? Do you not know where joy comes from? Do you not know why people claim to say, hey, they are doing what makes them happy, but they are not actually happy? You know why people are not unhappy? And when I'm talking about people, I know I'm talking to people. Stop looking for somebody. Stop looking for an example. Be vulnerable enough to use yourself as an example. Oh, is this why I'm not happy? Is this why I'm not happy? Now you know. Apply it and be happy. If you are not happy, you cannot happen. If you are not positive, you cannot be possible. Remember, joy don't come from things. We carry joy to things. Remember the analogy of musical instruments. On their own, they cannot produce until we carry our expression to them before they create that resonance, and everywhere can be lit up. This is interesting. This is amazing. Woo! Wow! I want to hear from us. Are you there? I want to hear from us. I want to hear from us. Oh, no, of enjoyment. Are you back? Are you able to speak now? Spice up. Thank you so much. Thank you for spicing up the whole atmosphere. Thank you for the gifts. It's a pleasure. Woo! Happy for everybody. It's good to have us here. So, questions, comments, contributions. Where does joy come from? Where does joy come from? If you're able to speak, please unmute your mic. If you are listening, you can, do your interest to come up so that we can have a conversation. Are you there? Who is saying something? Ooh. I just want to be, consistent enough. I know that if I come here often, it's going to be a good time. Who is there? Who is there? Who is there? Come on. Oh, spice up. You're unable to speak now. Oh no, I'm you're able to speak now. Oh my god. I wish to hear our feedback. I wish to hear our learning points. I wish to get our suggestions, our contributions. It's gonna make a lot of sense. Oh my god, who is there? Who is there? Who is there? Come on, come on. Let's invite somebody to come up and say something to us. Who is there? Who wants to go for it? Who wants to go for it? Who wants to go for it? Oh my god. Oh my god. Everybody's busy right now. It's good to have us here. However, where does joy come from? Oh god. All right. I'm just gonna wait 5 minutes more. Okay, it's 4 minutes more now, and then we can call it an evening from this end. Thank you so much. I really want to appreciate every one of us, our presence, our participation, the meet, and I believe that you got one of the things that take it with you. It's a pleasure. I am there. You're welcome. You're welcome. I am there. You're welcome. Good. Dude, that is good. Yeah, come on. That's good. Alright, you calm down and there's one way. All baby. Pleasure. So I was out there. Amazing. See you all later. Thank you so much for the time. Bye.